All right, I think we are live now.
Yes,
So,
we are live.
okay, great. So, students, welcome to our Hangout for the embedded software. Um, Myself, Santosh Pandey, and both of our TAs, Daryl Williams and um, um, Chen Chao Chen, both of us, all of us are here. And we are sorry we had to reschedule it because I got drafted for a thesis defense yesterday, which I had a conflict, and I really wanted to be on the hangout today because of my travel. I was not able to participate earlier, so hope many of you are able to join, uh, or we are able to take up some questions if you have sent some of those. So I guess a little bit of announcements and some kind of a catch up on where we are and what we are doing, so on. So I hope you are all pacing properly as per the schedule and on top of things. So we have currently ongoing project part two. Uh, I hope that is going well and that is underway. The Please get started on it because we won't be able to give any extensions because this is due at the end of the semester, and we don't have any room for extensions here. So please get it out of the way. If you follow those instructions and get a good handle on what is going on those benchmarks, you should be in a good shape in terms of trying to partition between thumb and arm modes. It is a very important and interesting way of looking at how to do the mixed code generation because that allows us to save energy because of keeping the iCache footprint low because of compact code, and also have a good performance because the important parts are executed in the ARM mode and they don't suffer any performance penalty. Thumb mode is slower in terms of execution, but ARM mode is fast, and because of multiple reasons. One of them is, of course, the number of registers that are accessible, um, the instructions being scheduled better, and so on. So ARM gives you performance benefits, and Thumb gives you the code size benefits. And so the mixed mode is kind of a golden mean between the two. And of course, when you switch from ARM to Thumb or Thumb to ARM, you have to pay some price. And so such switching has to be minimized. And so it poses a very interesting problem. And what you can do is we are going to do this as I mentioned in the project description on the function boundaries. So some functions are to be executed in ARM mode, some others in Thumb, and all you have to do is identify how to come up with this partition. We are expecting you to experiment and come up with an algorithm as outlined in the project guidelines. So please do spend some time on this and try to come up with a good partitioning heuristic. We have given you a lot of pointers there. So this is the way the code tuning would work for real world software. So those I'm sure who are dealing with this would really appreciate that this is the way things would work if you're a software engineer for an embedded production house. And so um, please, we have given two benchmarks, and those will help you to get a solid handle and do things with it. So that is about project part two. Again, this is to be done in teams of two, so you have somebody to work along with and bounce your ideas or get around any problems you might face and so on. And the other one is the homework. I hope is going well, and um, we uh, we are now in terms of the course where we are is reading all these papers in terms of how to really optimize the registers, especially the register optimization that we have learned. In this class, we have learned about two things. First is instruction scheduling and bundling, such as in VLIW and software pipelining, etc. And in the second half, it is about register allocation, how to really keep the values as much as possible in registers and avoid memory uh, dereferencing. So that way we are able to reduce the activity in memory, which is a code energy benefit, which we have seen in one of the papers. So different papers are organized to show this benefit in different ways. One of the papers early on was post-pass allocation to reduce the energy. Then we got into some other papers, which is how to utilize more registers through some different addressing modes. Then we are talking about parallelizing certain load stores for DSPs. And then finally, towards the end, we are going to do the access sequence optimization, which is if you use some data layouts, we are going to be able to generate better instructions and more compact code and for DSPs, and then finally network processors. So that is sort of where we are. We are getting towards the end in next 2-3 weeks. And if you have any questions about the papers or anything, we'll be covering through one last homework, one more remaining papers, and that will be our last exercise for this semester. And then we'll have the finals. So talking about the finals, um, just to give you a little bit of heads up, um, if you don't have a Proctor Track account, that is what we'll be using for giving the exam. So those who are in the program for a while, they must have done this earlier. But those who are new, please get yourself a Proctor Track account, and then you have to do a practice exam there and get into sorting out any kind of problems on your computer or anything. And we'll be posting some instructions toward that very soon to get you going there and so on. So Chow and Daryl, can you get our um, Proctor Track liaison David Joyner to get things set up, please? Chow, if you can
Okay.
follow up, and please send those instructions so that those who are new um, are able to set up their account, test it, and make sure that their computers and other things are working well. Um, so that's about all from my side for announcements. In terms of grading announcements and other announcements, I'd now invite Chow and Daryl to say a few things in terms of uh, those. So then we'll take up some questions. So Chow and Daryl, do you have some announcements about
Okay.
grading?
I have finished the grading for homework 2, and I will release the coding about after the office hour. And most of the students did well. Some of them missed some points because the template coding stuff. And I hope in the next submission, for each submission, you could have a compressed file for all of your submissions. So it could be make me clear which one, which file belongs to whom. And so in this case, because everybody submitted 4 different files, so it makes me very confusing to combine them together to a special account. And I think that is all. Okay. About the benchmark used for the project 2, I will submit it to a shared drive and make an announcement so you can download from there. Okay, that is all.
Great. Thank you, Chow. So those who are probably heard what we would like you guys to do from next submission is if you're submitting multiple files, which will be the case for projects and maybe even some homeworks, please tar and gzip those and submit as one file in a compressed manner, tar gzipped version. That way it becomes easier for our TAs to download that one file, decompress, and then execute things rather than trying to get one by one with the number of students in the class, and the work it becomes a little bit more efficient. So please try to tar gzip it and upload one as one file during the submission on the Canvas. So that's what Chow was saying, and the homework 2 grades will be released, and the Chow, is the VM issue for project 2. I saw there was some issues. Some students had difficulties. Is that taken care? Because I think we have the VM set up now, right?
Oh yeah, I have made an announcement yesterday because the previous version used a VM 16.10, but the Ubuntu no longer supported that version. So we can either install a virtual machine manually without a background, or switch to Ubuntu 17.04. So I have tested it. So they're both working.
Okay,
And
great.
yeah.
So have you posted the pointers to them so that they can be downloaded and they can get going on it? Because weekends are precious for them, and this is not really something which we want them to experiment with. So just ask them to, if you haven't done it already, give them a pointer so that they can download and get going.
Yes, in my announcement, I have a link to
Okay,
download
great.
the
Yeah,
virtual
okay.
machine. Yeah.
Thank you. And any who is doing the project 1 grading, and when should we sort of expect that? Anything about that?
Yeah, there. How do you think? I think we can split half and half because project will take more time for grading.
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
So anyway, you guys can sort of decide, and if we can give them back soon, because I think the semester is sort of winding down here in few days. So if we can give them in the next week, or maybe the early part of the week after. I know this is the holidays coming up, so I know both of you had probably some plans. So let's shoot for maybe early part of next week. Does that sound feasible, or?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so I think, and we should have some grading rubric and other stuff in place. So that's good. And then we're doing some regrading for a couple of you who had asked for homework 1. So we'll get back to you about that fairly quick. We just discussed some parts of it. And other than that, I guess looks like everybody is pacing well. Please do make sure you read the full papers. Don't just rely on the slides, because unlike lecture slides, the paper slides are just an outline of what's going on. A lot of details are not there in those slides. Some of them might have it, which were developed as tutorials, but some were just conference talks, and they may not have details. So you please go to, in either case, everybody should read the paper, and the paper has a lot of details, and to answer the questions, etc., you would need you would need to understand the paper. So that is what is expected. And for preparing for finals, that is the right way to prepare. Read all the things from the textbook book chapters. Don't just rely on the videos, and also read these papers. Don't just rely on the videos for the papers. So other than that, I hope everybody has Raspberry Pis and everything set up properly and ready to roll there. It's a very interesting project. I'm sorry, I have cough today, so I'm probably a little. My voice might be a little jerky here, but please don't delay the project again because of the tight deadlines, which cannot be extended because of end of semester. So with that, if there are any questions, we are ready to take those.
Actually, there are 2 students try to do the project 2 like separately, because they think their partner did not contribute too much for project one, and they feel it is better for them to do the project by themselves.
Okay. I think we should allow that.
Okay.
And the other two, but their partners, what is their take? What should we do with them? Maybe we can put them together in one team.
Yeah, I will email them to check how they thought about this.
Yeah, so put them together, and because project 1 and 2 are independent, and it is unfortunate that this situation is there. But if somebody is really not happy with their partner and they have not contributed in project 1, we should not penalize them further. So give them that option of doing it themselves, and or they could do it together with each other. That is also fine. And the other two students, we can club them together.
Okay.
All right. So, and it is really important. And if you can sort it out and stay in the same team, that is really preferable from our side, because you had formed those teams, and maybe it's like something might have gone wrong in project 1. But if you can sort it out and talk to each other and continue, that is ideal. That way, we don't want to cause too much reshuffling. But if not, then we will go ahead with this. So if you have made the decision, let's proceed. Let's not wait anymore. We don't have time to wait though.
Okay.
And then we'll reshuffle the other two and put them in the team. All right. So that is one issue. Are there any questions or anything that we should be visiting, Daryl or Chow or anybody who is on Hangout? If has any questions about anything about the papers? These were the state of the art papers which were published about 10 years back, some of them 10 or 12, 15 years back. And so we are trying to pick the papers which represent a broad spectrum, as I was mentioning earlier, from energy reduction to all the way to network processors. And they will give you a good sampling. Of course, it is much bigger, whatever is the state of the art or many things that are being done. They are much bigger in terms of scope, but they will give you some handle on especially code optimization side of this class. So we'll wait for some questions, or if there are any which you saw on the piazza which we need to revisit, please bring them up here, Chow and Daryl.
Yeah, right now I don't have many questions except the benchmark. I have released it through the announcement.
Sure. Okay. So we'll then I'm going to pause for a few minutes to wait for some questions, and if there are any, then I'll check back in another 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking if there are any questions. I was just waiting for some. So if there are any, I would be happy to answer. Joe, Daryl?
No.
Okay. Looks like everybody is watching football, soccer. This is also near the long weekend of 4th of July, so maybe folks are away. So I guess there aren't any questions, then we should wind up. Wishing you, all of you, a very happy 4th of July, and hope you have some good time, and then get back and finish the remaining part of the class. And we'll have office hours next week, um, mostly on Friday, without moving it to weekend. I usually don't want to move because I know that some of you might have families and some things going on there. So I think it's better to do it on Friday. We'll try to keep it at Friday at noon, unless otherwise, if there are any changes, then we'll announce it. But wish all of you a very happy 4th, and don't hesitate if you have any questions about, especially about project or the homework 3, because those are due fairly soon. And okay, we'll then stop here for today. Thanks for all of those who were on the office hours, and see you next week.
See you.
Bye bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.